Executor, I know that you were reluctant to leave Aiur in this dark hour, and that you still grieve for the loss of your comrade, Fenix. But remember that he lived and died as a Templar. He has reached the Kala's end. There is no greater glory than that. We Judicator are called to look beyond such matters, to ensure the safety and future of our people. It is not the Zerg, but the rogue Tassadar, who represents the greatest threat to us now. If he is allowed to spread the Dark Templar's tainted influence to Aiur, all will be lost. We will find him and bring him to judgment. Tassadar claimed that this world was abandoned by the Zerg just prior to the invasion of Aiur. Yet I still sense a lingering darkness here. Be prepared for anything, Executor. If there are still Zerg on this world, then they must surely know of our arrival.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Starcraft. This is Boomer and today we're doing the Protoss mission number 4, Hunt for Tassadar. You'll see we have access to a High Templar who also has the ability Psionic Storm, which you will have seen Kerrigan use as the Zerg. Yep, the Protoss can just simply produce a unit that can cast Psionic Storm. However, I'm pretty crap at using said unit, it has to be said. Anyway, High Templar don't have any normal attack of their own, they just simply cast their basic spell casters. And what we have to do now is find Tassadar, which is why this mission is called the Hunt for Tassadar, funnily enough. Sunken colony. Oh, shed loads of Zerglings. High Templar, High Templar. Why have I not got my Templar on? And you've really got to position that storm properly, otherwise your zealots will just simply run into it and get killed. Speaking of getting killed, sunken colony. Anyway, I feel like what I should do really is go into a little bit of the backstory of why the Dark Templar are so hated by the Judicator cast. To understand this, pretty much all Protoss have submitted to what's called the Kala. And it's not quite a hive mind, but it is an energy that sort of binds all the Protoss together. Now, a group of Protoss were worried that they would lose their individual identities by submitting to the Kala. So many did not, and they're called the Nerazim or the Dark Templar, as they are known now. Unfortunately, my zealot's getting spiked. Get away from there. Man, that was a vindictive sunken colony. And a lot of my guys are dying. This is a bad start. But anyway, the Dark Templar were initially seen as really a complete pain in the ass and were ordered to be... they were ordered to basically be dealt with by Adun, who is the Templar that all Protoss kind of deify. And he just did not detect that they were a threat. They were individualistic, yes, but their main fear with the Kala was that they'd lose their individuality, and that's something that the current Dark Templar cannot possibly be done. And so therefore the Protoss, and I'm going completely the wrong way here, and what they ended up doing, the Dark Templar, to make sure they didn't submit to the Kala, was sever their nerve appendages so they cannot be connected to other Protoss. So that didn't go down too well. However, they still have psionic abilities, same as normal Protoss do, but they have... The Dark Templar obviously consider their abilities wider than normal Protoss, but the High Templar consider their abilities blasphemous, and their abilities are mainly to do with bending light or merging with the shadows. They wield what are called void energies rather than Kali energies, which is what the normal Protoss use, and it's these void energies which can damage the Zerg. However, because there was, shall we say, a little bit of an uproar, what happened was that Adun tried to hide the Dark Templar. He taught them how to hide from the Kali, but unfortunately many of the Dark Templar couldn't control their abilities and caused massive sonic storms to rage across Aiur, and because of that the Dark Templar were banished forever from Aiur. Now, because they were banished forever, and there's obviously an awful lot of bad blood between the High Templar and the Dark Templar, the Judicator caste, who the Dark Templar were opposed to, basically see them as heretics. The Dark Templar see the Judicator as trying to control everything. Basic idea of sort of freedom, you know, collective versus individuality, and oh, this is bad. This is bad. Tell you what, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just stand and fight here for a little bit, and then I'm going to run for it. Because I just simply don't have the forces to bust through what's here, so I am just going to literally run. Yeah, just go. Run. Run, 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 run. You need to go up this channel, and Tassadar is just at the top here. So you have to understand that basically Tassadar, by associating with the Dark Templar, can be seen as going against the Judicator caste, and since the Judicators are pretty much the law on Aiur, and you know they are in control of pretty much everything, they consider him to be a serious security threat, which is not good. Don't stand and fight, Zealots, just run. Just run. They don't even have leg upgrades, just waddle. God, everything's dying, I cannot allow... Oh my god, how many Zerglings, how many Zerglings? Just run, just run, 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 run. These Zerglings aren't upgraded, so Hydra! Get going. Oh, I think they're going to make it. I think they're going to make it. Whew. They got up here, and hey, Protoss! And a vulture, huh?
Aldaris, Executor, how is it that you've come here? I was about to abandon all hope of rescue.
I have come to arrest you and bring you home to Aiur to stand trial.
Arrest me? Aiur burns at the touch of the Zerg. You travel all this way to arrest me?
Don't let it get to you, man. This happened to me once.
Who is this human, Tassadar?
The name's Jim Raynor, pal, and I won't be talked down to by anybody. Not even a Protoss.
Amusing. Tassadar, your taste in companions grows ever more inexplicable. Executor, prepare to take Tassadar into custody.
Wait. I do not know what they have told you about me. But what I have done for Aiur. Help me find Zeratul and his Dark Templar. They alone can defeat the Overmind Cererits. Once we have won, I shall gladly submit myself to the judgment of the Conclave.
Unthinkable. You presume that we would side with the Dark Ones as you have? You have gone quite mad, Tassadar.
You shall speak of them with respect, Aldaris. Executor, there is much that I can explain to you. If only you'll help me find Zeratul.
So Tassadar there just confirming pretty much what we already know, that it's only the Dark Templar that can kill Cerebrits. Normal Kali energies are no good. Yeah, I kind of figured that, High Templar, thanks very much. But here's Jimmy, and he's obviously found something to do with himself. Rather than brood about the fact Kerrigan's now the Queen of Blades, he's decided to just be rubbish here, it looks like. He's decided to help out old Tassadar. And the reason for that being that they were obviously all stranded at the same time on Char due to Kerrigan's sonic call. Pretty much everyone in the entire sector responded to it, so therefore they've all kind of ended up on the same planet.
Your will? How may I help? Yes, Executor? Speak quickly, Executor. I don't have time for games. I was Executor long before you. So do not try my patience.
I do like annoying some of the units sometimes. Well, Tassadar, yep, Tassadar is a former Protoss executor. And we have... we do have Sonic Storm already researched for Templar. However, instead of the rather finicky route of going Templar here, I'm going to use one of the High Templar's other abilities, which isn't so finicky. It's otherwise known as the power overwhelming method, and I'm pretty sure that you'll have realised what it is now. This mission is going to be the first introduction of the Archon, which is probably the most overtly powerful unit in the game. It's expensive, it requires 2 High Templar, which means 100 minerals and 300 gas, but boy oh boy are they strong. And we're not talking slightly strong here either. These things are horribly strong. And if I can get a dozen or so Archons, I will literally just wipe the floor with all of the Zerg on this map. One thing that also is a big deal in this map is that the Zerg start using queens, and those queens have the spawn broodling ability, which kills an organic unit and spawns 2 broodlings from it. I don't believe they can target heroes with it, although I believe that gets a workaround in Brood War, which is hilarious. But Archons don't count as as biological beings, so they can't. So the Zerg can't spawn broodlings on them, and it also means that so you've got that advantage as well. Because it's really irritating sometimes when you're building up a big force and then a queen just comes over, kills one of your units for pretty much free, and it just gets rather annoying. So I just end up building Archons all the time. I'm still going to build Zealots, because the thing is that even though what Archons are going to require is a shed load of Vespene gas, so that's usually going to result in an excess of minerals. So what you tend to do at that point is that you build a unit which is high in minerals, and for me that is a Zealot at this point. So you can go sort of 24 Zealots and 12 Archons, and I mean Zealots on their own have pretty high DPS as well, so you know that's a pretty potent fighting force, and since Archons can shoot at absolutely everything, and they'd shoot at them for a lot of damage as well, it's not really a bad deal at all. Okay, I lost a probe there, but there's 2 entrances to our base. There's the one which I've mined with spider mines, and there's one towards the back, which is where a Zerg base currently sits as well. But I decide in this mission to go completely and utterly for the throat, instead of just running all my guys back, which is definitely something I could do. I am going to destroy the Zerg base completely and just wipe all the Zerg off the map, and then walk Tassadar and Raynor over. There's no you know, you don't have to do that by any stretch, but why not? In this case, really, why not make things safe? Tassadar is very, very strong as a hero, to tell you the truth. He has a lot of health. It's around 380 if you count his shields and his normal health. He also, which is unique for a High Templar, he also has a physical attack, which does, I think, 20 damage. It's a sort of short to mid-range attack, which is fairly, you know, fairly cool for him to have. But and he also has Psystorm and all the rest of it. He has all the Protoss High Templar upgrades. Okay, so no, I don't want a photon cannon. I want a cybernetics core. So put that down and then get back to mining. Go get him mining as well. I think that that's about okay for probes now. It's cool seeing Raynor here. At this point, that the 3 buddies, Zeratul, Raynor and Tassadar, are separated. Reason being that not only have they had to put up with the consequences of them killing Zars, which Zerg brood went wild, they've also had to put up with the fact that Kerrigan has been hunting them down while they're on Char. Which is why I'm a little bit disappointed she doesn't turn up in the Protoss campaign, because she's on Char at the moment hunting them all down. But she has definitely been making their lives miserable at this point. And it really depends on, you know, what material you read over what Kerrigan's true power is at this point. I think that some of the literature has Kerrigan fighting all three heroes, that being Zeratul, Reyna and Tassadar, and coming out on top. Personally, I find that a little hard to believe. I know that Kerrigan's immensely powerful, but I'm honestly not sure she's that powerful. But hey, you know, what do we know? It's possible that she is. The Overmind did make her incredibly strong, and the fact that she was already an extremely strong psychic for a Terran probably means that the Zerg infestation process has sent her psionic abilities just into the stratosphere, and that might be enough to take them all on. But if you look at the cinematics in Starcraft 2, Zeratul was injured against Kerrigan, but he was certainly able to land a blow on her. So I think that her fighting, I mean, Reyna's going to be a non-factor in that. In that fight, I'm pretty sure. But taking on Tassadar and Zeratul would be some achievement. Oh, I just Psy-stormed my own Dragoon, because why not? Okay, that gets me the Citadel of a... Oh, I think I missed with that Psy-storm, if I'm right. 12 health, really. Tassadar, get back here. Show them how it's done. There you go. Bit of a waste, really, but never mind. Reyna's been had goog gobbed on him, so his day just continues to get worse and worse. I'm researching the leg upgrades for the Zealots because I really want their... I want them to be quick. Because another thing is, I do want them to... Once again, if I'm going Zealot Archon, I do want them to go ahead of the... I do want them to go ahead of the Archons. So here you go. This is what you can do with 2 High Templar. You can Archon warp them. And you can see there, Archons are almost purely shields. They're 350 shields and 10 health. This means that against humans or against Terrans, they're not exactly fantastic, because the humans will often build science vessels as a response, and science vessels can use the EMP torpedo, and that will knock the shields of an Archon down and just leave it at 10 health, which is pretty poo, really. But I am just going to keep on warping Archons at this stage. I've made a little bit of a blunder in the fact that I researched the Kadaran Amulet for the High Templar. That gives them 50 extra energy, just so they can now cast 3 Psionic Storms as opposed to 2 when they're fully powered up. But I'm not really the best at using those sorts of things. Plus, the fact is that the Zerg are, once again, you're attacking a Zerg position if you're going after the base. And if you do go after the base, you are, you know, Psystorm doesn't do anything to buildings. And this is the Archon attack. It's really cool. It does, I believe, 30 damage when it's unupgraded, so 33 when it's upgraded, and you see them absolutely wipe out Zerglings and Mutalisks. Also, Archons get +3 damage to their attack whenever they attack, whenever you get +1 attack. So that means that they then do 39 damage, which means they one-shot Zerglings no matter what armor the Zerglings have, and you know, 12 of them can pretty much one-shot anything if they manage to focus their fire. As you can see, these Archons have been gobbed on, which is annoying. Get that queen, get that queen. Yeah, only got an ensnare off, that's fine. Queens just pretty much annoy you throughout this entire mission. It's really irritating. Another queen. And yeah, spawn broodlings just went off there, and you saw how it killed one of the zealots, but it can't target archons, which is something that I'm eternally grateful for. And it's also one of the reasons why I went archons in this mission. You can see how I'm down on zealots at this point, just because of that spawn broodlings. But hey, just get everyone involved. Ensnare can be really irritating if you want to try and keep your army together, which you often do because you want to keep your firepower as, you want to have your firepower as focused as possible. Whereas if you're using, if you've got units which have two different speeds, it can be difficult. Oh, annoying. Dragoons, get after them. Here we go. The difficult part's going to be getting up the ramp. But I think I have enough zealots to get up the ramp here. And my archons are just hovering back at the moment. I'm hoping that the zealots absorb some fire here, but I don't really think it's too necessary because the archons can easily just storm this position and not really worry about dying to it. Ultralisk there, not really causing too much of a problem. And we're in, it looks like. I want to take down that other sunken colony because that will stop them firing on the ramp. So if any of my guys get stuck on the ramp, it's not really a big problem. Can you tell I'm very vindictive against queens? The thing is, they're one of these units, queens. They're not very powerful, but they're incredibly irritating. And I must only use this power to annoy. That's a queen in this game. But there we go. This Zerg base is going to be overwhelmed incredibly quickly. You can see the sheer power of Archons compared to what I've been using in previous missions. They're just ripping through this Zerg base. When you think about it, if they're upgraded to 3 weapons, you only need 12 shots to kill a sunken colony. So, 5 Archons get a surround, they just do 2 volleys, and that's the end of a sunken colony. So it doesn't get any damage off anyway, and with +3, +3 shields, Archons take 3 less damage off anything, so they just become incredibly difficult to kill and incredibly strong with their attacks as well. I think that they're definitely my favourite Protoss unit. They're not as mobile as some of the high-end air units, but just for their sheer firepower and overwhelming ability, you can't really get away from it at this point. That they are just amazing. There you go, 2 or 3 minutes. That Zerg base is wiped. It means we're not really going to have any trouble getting. A base set up here. I am actually going to set a base up here. Just again, you don't need to. This force is more than sufficient. But what's actually happened? Oh, I lost an Archon. What's actually happened is, because the Zerg have started transporting some of their stuff through overlords here, that means that there's not as much stuff elsewhere on the map, meaning that obviously the way is an awful lot clearer now. It's great being able to shoot down all these overlords before they drop their troops. That's incredibly awesome because it costs them so much. You see Archons attack pretty quick as well, they get 1 or 2 shots off. Yeah, I'll leave that overlord alone for the moment. And as you can see, expansion now gunning down. Again, this is a little bit unnecessary, but I'm going to do it for the hell of it because there really is nothing that can go wrong at this point. We've wiped the Zerg off this area, and now it's just a case of cleaning up the rest of the Zerg around the map. So let's have a look. What have we got here? I'm still producing units out of those 2 gateways. I should go 4 gate at this point, just go 4 gateways. But as it is with pretty much all Protoss, you know, the units that you use the most are probably going to come out of your gateways more than anywhere else. Just having a check around here with the Archons, just to see if there's anything I'm actually interested in. The answer's no. So I think it's time I lead my force and my backup squads and take out, you know, clear out the way home, and then we'll bring Tassadar to the beacon, and we will see if he can convince us to go after Zeratul. Because it seems weird to me. We're playing someone who's a high up executor in the Protoss hierarchy. It seems weird that he would just simply go along with Tassadar, but then again, Artanis, who is who we're playing as, Artanis is probably pissed at Aldaris at the moment for the fact that Fenix is dead. Fenix was always someone who followed Tassadar an awful lot, so I'm guessing that Artanis's loyalty lies a lot closer to Tassadar than it does to Aldaris, for sure. Now, of course, this might not... Depends how much Artanis values his own skin, because obviously if he sides with the Dark Templar and Tassadar, then he's going to be a renegade as well in Protoss, in the eyes of the Protoss society. But hey, the entire Protoss society might end up being is going to end up being under Zerg rule at this point. Now, something else that comes in, something that the Kali does. The Kali actually protects Protoss from Zerg infestation. The Protoss cannot be infested the same way that Kerrigan was. The same is also true for Dark Templar. The Void protects them against infestation. So I'm really not sure how the Overmind was, you know, what the Overmind was actually planning on doing to incorporate the Protoss into the Zerg. You get a little bit of a... spawn brutally again. You get a little bit of a retcon as to what it was that caused this conflict in Starcraft 2. Not going to spoil that or anything at the moment for like the 5 of you who don't know what it is. But it is very, very strange. Obviously the Overmind was... I think the Overmind was kind of, I will conquer Aiur and then I'll figure out the rest of it later. And now it's time to play Overlord tennis. It's back and forward between my photon cannons and my dragoons. I like playing Overlord tennis, and especially on this map, it's really funny. Again, I think this is being more vindictive than strategic, but hey. Also, for some reason, photon cannons do full damage to pretty much everything, whereas dragoons don't do full damage to everything. So, different damage modifiers for different things. Anyway, now that I've finished playing Overlord tennis, it's time for me to come down here and see what we've got going on here. Oh, it's a queen. Unfortunately, used in snare and not spawn broodling. Well, you can actually see there's really not a lot standing in our way here. It's just a few Mutalisks, and a few Hydralisks, and a few Zerglings. I think that there is originally more, but because we took out that Zerg base, the Zerg ended up dropping a load of Hydralisks in there, so there's a lot of... the forces in this area were thin due to the fact they no longer have the ability to produce units. At least that's the theory I'm working under anyway. For this sort of defense being as low as it is, you know, this isn't a very strong Zerg defense to stop us getting out of here. You will see much stronger Zerg defenses. So we've got some Scourges there in case we try to get Tassadar out by shuttle. I think that that'd be one of the worst ways to try and get him out here, considering we already know there's hydralisks all over the place in this mission, so shuttles aren't really going to get the job done. And this is sort of the quote-unquote final boss bit. I think it's 6 to 8 Mutalisks that you have to take out, but Dragoons will wallop Mutalisks all day, so there's no real problem there. If you're going to take out Protoss units from the, if you're going to take out Protoss ground units from the air, you better be using Guardians. Oh, some Hydralisks. Forgot about these guys. We're losing a couple of Dragoons here, but more Hydralisks are going down, and just a couple of Mutalisks to take out. Oh, I don't know if there's a Zerg base up there, or if it's just like some Zerg. Yeah, 1 Hydralisk versus 2 Dragoons is not going to go well for that Hydralisk. And we've got to clean up there. I'll kill a Zerg Scourge as well. So the path is now clear for Tassadar and Raynor. So let's bring them down. In fact, let's bring everything down. In fact, to the point where Tassadar can't get through to the beacon. Great work, Boomer. Anyway, here we go. That's that, and that's the end of this level. Why are you turning the wrong way, Tassadar? Go stand by Raynor. Come on. There we go.
You have my thanks, Executor. Now let us find Zeratul and speed our way home.
Okay, so that's the end of that mission. We need to go and find Zeratul, and we need to gain his help to try and save Aiur from the Zerg, even though the Conclave don't believe that we need saving. See you next time.